Howdy guys, it's Joe here, and today I want to talk to you guys about a very top 500 player outside of the United States. Now, of course, it's just from a different country, so maybe you can learn a bit different stuff than you would normally see. But yeah, I just want to go over some of the tips and some of the ways that this guy is kind of destroying where he's playing right now, and especially in this game. So as we see right now, we got Reinhardt, and something that I'm seeing from a lot of these different Reinhardt players is that they don't just always hold out their shields all the time. They kind of go in between having it out, putting it back, having it out, putting it back, because a lot of the times there's some damage that you don't really need to take. As well as we can see right here, a lot of the times there's Reinhardts that will realize I can maybe get a hit or two in, which is something that we don't often see. As we see right there, he sees that he can easily get a shift in, goes in with his team. And as you can see at the top left, this is very, very coordinated. People are talking all the time, and honestly, you should be doing that as everyone, but especially if you're the Reinhardt, if you're, the team player character, the character that everyone's supposed to be following behind, you really do have to kind of listen to them. Now, unfortunately for this player, he went in and it didn't work out the best. He kind of got picked, but they're just going to go back in and try again, and that's something that you also often very see. People are a lot more offensive high up in here. When you're, at these lower ranks, a lot of times you'll get stuck at that choke point, but when you're up here, you can see people going in, getting discords, getting, just a lot of damage in there. And as you see right there, he leads his team behind him. And then eventually they do get onto the checkpoint. Something that I often don't see when I'm really anywhere behind, like Masters or Grandmasters, is people often trying to lead their teams behind them. A lot of times people are just kind of off to the right, off to the left, and people are kind of ignoring you. And you aren't really calling them out on it. Now, as we see a lot, these people are trying to call you out on it. They're trying to tell you, maybe you should do this, maybe you should follow behind me. And it does work out really well. As well, we can see some nice stuff about the enemies. They have a really good high ground above them. And they should have probably won right here. Unfortunately, he does miss that again. He goes in, he tries to do some damage, and as you can see, again, he has a mix of attacking and blocking, something that really is quite important when you're trying to watch these players. Normally, when a lot of people that I'd see tried to play, they just block over and over and over again. But Reinhardt really does have a lot of damage. Fortunately for him right there, there's the McCree. That's not really the best. He tries to get out of the way because he doesn't want his shield to die to the McCree. Now, of course, it's very good to try to block damage for your teammates from the McCree, but if you can happen to save your shield, then you can use it later, as you can see right now, instead of just kind of wasting it on that McCree ultimate. That's probably one of the best things to do with McCree's ult, getting rid of those Reinhardt shields, but yeah, you can see that right now. As far as right here, I feel like a lot of people would just be trying to instantly use their ultimates, while this player's trying to wait. And also, he's pushed up just a little bit more than people would normally really kind of think about. Unfortunately, missed that again, but a lot of people would kind of think, stay really far behind, really next to the payload, but you can't push up just a few inches, and that gives your payload a few inches to push up. As you see, since he was so far pushed up, the payload easily got through, and everyone on the enemy team couldn't really get past that shield. That's really a nice strategy to go for. Just kind of push a little bit further than what you would normally expect. Now, with that said, he didn't run all the way to the doors. He didn't run to where he could easily be picked off, but he ran just a tidbit further, and it really did help his team out. Again, right here, you can see that instead of just hiding next to the payload while they're going to the next part of the map, they're trying to push the enemy back. You do want to have that positioning advantage. You want to have a few extra feet they can try to get through. He gets hooked right there. Really unfortunate for him. But yeah, they get back onto it, and they just get ready to start going in again. Right here, he just goes straight for his ultimate, and as you could see, during that whole time, he didn't even use his ultimate, which was kind of interesting. He types for no reason. But yeah. We didn't even see his ultimate, so I guess that he just saved it, used it for the right time. You don't really have to waste your ultimate super fast. As you can see right there, instead of, doing what he did last time and trying to save his shield, he decided, I have a lot of teammates right here and I should probably tank it. Now, personally, I'd say you should probably have the D.Va try to go for that, as D.Va doesn't take any damage on that. But if you don't have a D.Va, you can do fine. And as well, a really nice thing that we saw right there is that if you see the enemy Reinhardt going in for the shift, make sure to try to get your own one. As if you do, well, you can cancel their damage, or at least somewhat cancel it, so you both do like 100 damage to each other instead of the maximum damage, which is something that you should just always try to do. The enemy Reinhardt honestly can't move way too fast, and if you can just get that out, you should go for it. Right here, normally what I'd expect is an instant ult. What he does is he waits a little bit. I think he's waiting for the majority of people, and as you can see in the top left of chat, people are probably telling him, you don't really need ult right now, you'll be fine. I mean, I guess they could have just used it, but it's probably a lot better to save your ultimate for times when maybe the enemy team all respawns, and maybe they all get in there. You could have your ultimate out in the ready and go for it instead of, just using it earlier. So yeah, kind of saving that can be very useful as this character. Positioning up a little bit more forward than you would expect can be nice, and as well, just going where you think you should be going, honestly. Now right here, something that we see is that he positions a little bit further back. I see a lot of people positioning by that car, and I feel like that can work for the first point, but especially at times, it can be kind of hard to, defend right there. He goes for an insane attack. I'd honestly say that was probably not the best idea. Luckily for him, his teammates did follow him up, but as you can see, he went in and he got really badly punished for that. So there's something, everybody makes some mistakes, but there we go. Right here, again with his teammates, they're very coordinated. They know that they're going in. Zarya goes for ultimate. He jumps in. Everybody goes in. Just good coordination is amazing. And really, Reinhardt does amazing with that because unlike any other character, he has a ton of AoE. As far as, a melee character, he just has a ton. And something that I really like right here is that instead of, hiding next to his team, he hides behind the enemies. He has his ultimate up, and he knows that maybe he can get off a cheeky to play and, stall for quite a bit more time. Luckily, no one's finding him. People usually don't go around this side. He goes for that ultimate, gets Ana boosted. Again, very, very thought out. Has that D.Va ult. Really, you could just see the next level plays that people are trying to go for and the strategies that they're coming up with. Now, of course, you can play a bit more defensively. You can just play backwards, but sometimes that really just won't cut it. And sometimes you want to go for these plays that are a bit more explosive. Now, as you can see right here, since he probably knows the enemy's a little bit afraid, he stays a bit forward, tries to take a bit of damage to let that, Zarya get her damage out, holds that right click, and then he tries to get out because otherwise right there, he would have died to that Hanzo ult. Remember that you can get out of the Zarya ult, but you might have to waste a little bit of damage, a little bit of time, because you're having to waste that shift ability. Next, we teleport a little bit again, and right here we can see that they aren't going for the high ground. Now, I'm guessing that it's that they're planning versus the enemy team comp. They have a D.Va that can knock them off. They have a few other characters, or at least I think they had a D.Va, maybe not anymore. But I guess that they just want the low ground, and maybe they could put their own D.Va up in the high ground. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work for them. They all just kind of got wiped, but you could see kind of what they were thinking right there. Luckily, they had someone else, I think that's a Zarya up there, blocking for a bit of time. He goes for the ultimate. Should have saved that. We've seen him save a lot of the ultimates in the past. That one, he went for a little bit too early, but yeah, and then he goes all the way in the back line, tries to get the Ana. That's just kind of the thing you can do. Doesn't really matter, honestly, way too much. Right after this, though, of course, they back off. They can try to push for a few seconds, but you do have to remember that if you're Reinhardt, don't stay up. I see a lot of people doing this. They, walk up to the enemy's base and try to spawn camp them after they get a wipe. You shouldn't do that. You should go back. Right here is also a really interesting thing. I guess you thought versus the enemy team comp, especially since they got a D.Va, which the teammates probably told them, that he should probably switch to Winston. Now, honestly, I wasn't really thinking about this, but it does kind of make sense. Against D.Va, against Reinhardt, against Zarya, Winston can do good, especially if you're a very good Winston player like this guy is. As well with that, they know that they have an Ana ult up, and that they're running with a little bit of time, They can pretty much time out the other team by now if they can get a wipe or two. So they send to the Winston, he gets in there, and I feel like that's just really a thing that a lot of people wouldn't kind of think about. They just keep playing the same character, and this is where knowing when to switch your character and being able to play multiple different characters really can pull it out for you. As well with this, we can see him just jumping all over the place, kind of average Winston stuff. Leaves a like if you enjoyed, I guess. But he just jumps around, gets up there, and essentially just tries to push people away and get a lot of damage done. As Winston, you don't always have to, stand still and try to protect the most damage possible. You kind of want to jump around and have your Ana heal you as you're in the air, as if you're always on the ground, you're a really easy target, and the enemy team should just be able to pick you off without really any doubt at all and just kind of take you out. Here it goes for that taunt, whatever. But again, he's waiting a bit. And you can see this a lot. He is a player that waits a little bit of time. He doesn't wait the most amount of time, but he does wait a bit. And as well right there, you could see that Ana was healing him. I'm guessing that they were trying to charge the Ana ult. On the other hand, if Ana already had his ult, or her ult, and Winston, as you can see, already had their ult, that was probably a bad idea because you're just charging the D.Va ult, but whatever. Right here, we saw the Winston get pretty low, quite low. So he decided to pop his own ultimate, jumps in, and as you can see right here, he's kind of jumping in and out. Luckily, he got that really nice Ana heal. But because Winston honestly can't tank the most, he can tank decently well, but he's more of like a damage disruptor than a tanker. So he's trying to jump in, trying to jump out, and then right here, they're just trying to finish out the enemy team. There's really not much more to be said about that. They're picking them off one by one. A really cool thing that they are doing, though, is that they're sending in the Winston and about one other character while letting everyone else stay back. Now, this is a good idea because sometimes I see teams do this, including my own team and including myself. Sometimes you send off people like all one by one to try to pick off the stragglers. The enemy team just groups up, they get on that control point, or they get on that objective, they get on that, car, and then you just kind of lose the point in a way that you never should have. You should just be picking them off one by one and having your own big group near your control point so that the enemy team just can't send their own one. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of cool stuff that this guy was doing, and of course the teamwork play was the mainly biggest important thing that I think won these guys the game. Their teamwork was much better than the enemies, so yeah, if you can apply that to yourself and apply some of the strategies that he was going for, I'd say that could probably work for you. And as well, you do want to remember, this is a top 500 player. It's okay to make a few mistakes as long as you can correct them and not do them again in the future. As we see this guy kind of correcting himself just a bit, even though they aren't the most big mistakes in the world, you know, it's always good to try to help yourself out, try to correct those mistakes, and just continue growing as a player yourself. Anyways, as always, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want a future one somewhat like this in the future, tell me in the comment section down below. Leave a like if you did enjoy, and comment what hero you do want to see for the next video. It can be really any hero, and I'll just pick a player and go off from there. Anyways, as always, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.